Hi, welcome to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera, Season 3. I'd like to give a very special shout out to my podcast partner, Perpetual Buzz Experiences. You can check them out on www.perpetualbuzz.com. 2023 was such an exciting year with several noteworthy highlights. The podcast won the Hubhopper Podcast Awards for the category of Best Interview Podcast of 2023, and it followed with several live podcast formats at the NCPA International Jazz Festival, the Snarky Puppy India Tour, and Steve Vai's Indian Tour. I'd like to show you all a little sneak peek of what happened in 2023.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Gilbert.
Hello everybody, this is Purbain Chatterjee.
I'm Ludovico Einaudi.
Hi, this is Antonio Sanchez.
In India, this is Jordan Rudis from the
And this is Adrian Vandenberg.
ギタリストリサ X です。
Hey, this is Rhonda Smith.
Hi, I'm Harold Faltermeyer.
This is Dave Weckley.
Hi, this is Bill Frisell.
Hey, this is Julian Jujimani. You're watching Stewards of Music with Aditya Veera.
You're listening to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera.
You're listening to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera.
And you're listening to Stalwart of Music with Aditya Veera.
And you're listening to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera.
Hello, India. Hello, Bharat. I will be talking to Aditya Veera for his series Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera.
Good to know that.
Yeah, it's by far one of the most intelligent interviews.
An interesting choice of questions. Very well presented.
I like where you're coming from and your questions, and you've done your research, and you're.
It was a pleasure to discuss all those great topics that you put on the table, and I was lucky to be with you in this hour. I spent a beautiful hour with you. Thank you.
Very nice interview. I am very happy that your questions were very, very nice, and even you are so young, you have the depth and you have the knowledge. So I congratulate you, Aditya.
He is connecting people from this side of the globe to the other side of the globe. He's doing an amazing job. I would kindly request that you all check out Aditya Veera on his Instagram and his YouTube channel. His Instagram, I think, is ADIX 70. So give it up for Aditya Veera, everyone. Go check it out.
Season 3 2024 seems very promising already. I'm bringing to you the best of artists in every possible genre on this planet. I'd like to give yet another special mention for the Mahindra Blues Festival, which is marking its 12th year. It returns on the 10th and 11th of February 2024 at Mumbai's Mehboob Studio. It's a pivotal part of Asia's blues scene and India's blues movement. The festival has been a platform for both global and homegrown blues talent. Mahindra's consistent support for arts and culture is evident through its 11-year commitment to providing an unparalleled blues experience in Mumbai. The festival has hosted legends like Buddy Guy, John Mayall, and the Taj Mahal. I'm delighted to inform you all that Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera is partnering with Hyperlink Brand Solutions for a one of a kind music festival podcast featuring three incredible artists: Dana Fuchs, Vanessa Collier, and Samantha Fish. The episodes will be out on my YouTube channel on the 21st of January, 28th of January, and 4th of February, exclusively on my YouTube channel, Aditya Veera 1994. And don't forget to get your tickets for the festival happening on the 10th and 11th of February. Ticket details are in the description. The National Centre of Performing Arts in Mumbai announces the fifth edition of Mumbai's dance season, starting from January 18th to the 4th of February 2024. This 18-day cultural celebration features 27 events showcasing over 100 classical dancers. The initiative aims to unite various Indian classical dance forms through performances, lecture demonstrations, workshops, and masterclasses. Events will take place all across Mumbai, Greater Mumbai, and Navi Mumbai. It's being co-curated by noteworthy artists such as Jayashree Nair and Lata Rajesh. The season will offer a diverse range of performances, including choreography on Tamil literature and a Kathak tribute to Pandit Briju Maharaj. Speaking of the much-awaited spring season of the Symphony Orchestra of India 2024, it will commence on the 2nd of February and concludes by the 16th. It'll take place at the National Centre of Performing Arts, Mumbai. The artistic direction is by Mr. Marit Bessian Galiv. It'll also feature renowned guest artists that include conductor Martin Brabants, pianist Barry Douglas, mezzo-soprano Sasha Cook, and many more. Symphony Orchestra of India is the one and only country's full-time professional orchestra, and it celebrates its 18th year. So music lovers all throughout the country are invited to experience the promising spring season of 2024 at NCPA. I have a series of album premieres lined up for you all, starting with guitar legend Scott Henderson, who will be releasing his highly anticipated album Carnival on the 2nd of February 2024. Carnival features a diverse set of beautiful compositions and demonstrates Scott's striking ability to combine elements of jazz, rock, funk, blues in an authentic and very seamless way. The album was recorded live in the studio with Romain on bass and Archibald on drums. The same musicians featured on People Mover as well. The theme of the entire album revolves around the idea of being at a fair. Scott drives comparisons to the LA Fair or Disneyland, filled with the crazy atmosphere with variety in terms of music. This album will have 11 incredible tracks, and if you wish to place an order, you can feel free to place an order on www.amazon.com. And you can grab an audio CD copy for sure. You can also head out to the online shop on scotthenderson.net and get an autograph CD. You don't want to miss that. The legendary US blues rock guitar player Walter Trout has navigated over 7 decades in the American blues rock scene. And I'm delighted to present to you yet another album premiere, which we would be having as part of season 3. I'm talking about his new album, Broken, which has some incredible original tracks that ranges from a raging sound to soothing music. It was recorded at the King Size Sound Labs in LA. The album includes collaborations with artists like Beth Hart, Dee Schneider, and harmonica player Will. It's set to release on the 1st of March 2024 and will be available as a LP, CD, and will be also available in digital formats for people to consume. So head out to www.waltertrout.com and get your official merchandise from there. Melissa Manchester is all set to put out her 25th album review on the 23rd of February. The album features special guests like Kenny Loggins, Dolly Parton, and Gerald Albright. So don't forget to mark your dates and look out for the album release. My guest today is the pop sensation, Gloria Estefan. She's a 7-time Grammy Award winning singer, actress, and a songwriter. She's a Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, which is the highest civilian honor. She's been Oscar nominated for Music of My Heart and also has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was felicitated with an American Music Award for Lifetime Achievement and was recently inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Gloria has had worldwide success in terms of sales of over 100 million records so far. She has 38 number one hits spanning across Billboard charts. Her iconic hits include Conga, Turn the Beat Around, and Get on Your Feet. She was the first female artist to debut a song at number one on Billboard's Hot Latin Songs chart with Hotel Nacional. Speaking of entrepreneurship, she and her husband are very successful entrepreneurs owning businesses, including a music publishing company and a hospitality division. Gloria and her husband are the first Latin couple to own a minority share in the Miami Dolphins NFL franchise. She's the founder of the Gloria Estefan Foundation that supports charitable programs for disadvantaged children. She empowers young people through education and opportunities. She also supports spinal cord research through the Miami Project to cure paralysis. She was appointed as a public member of the U.S. delegation to the 47th General Assembly of the United Nations. Without any further ado, I'm delighted to welcome my guest for today, Gloria Estefan.
Oh, hey, oh, hey. Rhythm is gonna get you. Rhythm is gonna get you. Rhythm is gonna get you. Tonight. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Hello to all you lovely folks in India and beyond. I'm Gloria Estefan, and I have the honor to be with you on Aditya Veera's Stalwarts of Music, which will be on so many places, really. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time on the YouTube channel Aditya Veera 1994. It'll be on Big FM, Shillong, and Aizawi. And we're going to be talking about so many things because I've done a thing or two here throughout my years in the music industry and beyond. And it was a lovely interview that I hope you enjoy. And I will see you then. Don't forget, February 18th, Sunday at 6 p.m. See you then. Hi, everyone. I'm Gloria Estefan, and I'm very excited to be on Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera. And you can watch us on his YouTube channel, Aditya Veera 1994 on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy.
Hi, Gloria. Namaste. Welcome to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera, Season 3. It's such a privilege to have you on the show, madam.
Well, thank you very much. Namaste to you. And I'm very much looking forward to speaking about whatever it is you would like to talk about and to be able to reach so many amazing fans that I have on that side of the world that I have yet to visit, but is definitely on my bucket list.
Marvelous. I see a beautiful bookshelf right behind you. Where are you right now and what's happening?
Right now, I call it my lair. It is the library of my home. And behind me, the top shelf is albums of pictures from our entire life. It's pretty much in the entire library. There's special pictures of, things that we've experienced that are very special to us. And there's a baby picture of Emily. There's a picture of my mama. And, it's all about family. If you look through those albums, and I promise you, I have not seen every picture because I was working very hard while they were being put in an album. And sometimes when I'm looking for a special project, like it was when I was preparing my daughter's 18th birthday movie that was a surprise, we looked through a lot of those albums, and it's always such a joy to go back in time. That's what I love about actual photographs that we printed out, because sometimes we take so many pictures, but they're digital, and you don't really sit and look through entire albums like you can with paper in your hand, and it's always a special experience.
Marvelous. Are you in Miami right now?
I'm in Miami Beach, where I live. We have lived in this home on Star Island for 35 years, something like this.
Wow.
And I love it. It's my happy place. It's
Okay.
very hard to get me out of my home.
And what agenda do you have for today?
Well, later tonight, we are going to go to the Latin Grammy Foundation
Wow.
dinner.
Mhm.
Juanes will be performing tonight.
Mhm.
It's a great organization because they give scholarships and support musicians, the Latin Grammy Academy.
Okay.
And it's wonderful. Every year they have a dinner at someone's home, and people pay a lot of money to attend, which helps a lot of artists later on through the academy.
Marvelous. And what is happening in terms of music? Are you working on something new right now?
I actually am. And oh, by the way, next week we will be going out to the Grammys. We're going to go to Clive Davis's party, the famous
Wow.
party that he always
Yeah.
throws the night before. And
Yeah.
we'll be attending the Grammys.
Mm.
No nominations this year,
Mhm.
but last year Emilio was nominated for an album with the Wailers, and he's got a new album coming out of the Wailers. My favorite project that I've worked on in a long time is one that I'm working on now in conjunction with my daughter. We
Mhm.
are writing the music and the
Mhm.
lyrics for
Yeah.
an original Broadway musical. It's
Lovely.
based on, yes, it's really exciting for me. It's based on a true story
Mhm.
about the recycled orchestra of Cateura, Paraguay. And these Cateura is a landfill in Paraguay where years ago, 10 years ago, a documentary came out about this whole thing.
Mhm.
But a man tried to go and help the environmental situation there, an engineer.
Okay.
And when he couldn't get much done, he ended up trying to teach the children of the neighborhood that live, and their parents make their money from the landfill,
Mhm.
repurposing items and selling them. And he created a music school, and they started making instruments out of the trash that
Wow.
was thrown in the landfill. So this is about the story of how this orchestra came to be,
Mhm.
and the very personal stories of real life people that we got the blessing to see perform live a few weeks ago here in Miami at FIU
Mhm.
University.
Mhm.
And they didn't know that Emily and I were working on the music. So we used it as an occasion to meet them in person, even though we've been talking and writing about them for 2 years. These very specific 5 or 6 of the musicians that the story is about, and we watched them perform that night, and it shifted everything for the producers,
Yeah.
and it was just magical. We played them some of the music, and they were so happy, and we were thrilled to get to meet them in person.
We will talk more about this. It sounds very, very intriguing. We will talk more about this during the course of our interview. And I have a very interesting agenda planned for you. Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
All right. So, Gloria, what is it about music that holds you, draws you, and keeps you with it through several leaps and bounds in your pursuit?
Well, music came with me. I sang since I talked.
Mhm.
I come from a very musical family. My father's side of the family there was a classical violinist, a classical pianist. My dad's brothers sang and wrote music. My paternal grandmother was a poet and wrote poetry.
Yeah.
My mother won a contest when she was 6 years old to go to Hollywood and be Shirley Temple's double. I don't know if you know who Shirley Temple is. She was a
No.
very famous child actress
Okay.
back in the 30s and 40s. And my mother won. They did an international contest. My mom was the star of her school. She sang, she danced, she acted. And I guess those genes were definitely passed on to me because I sing since I talk. I don't have my mother's diva personality. I'm more quiet like my father was. Um, but music has been my escape from every difficulty. And I've had a lot of difficulties as a child. We left Cuba when I was 2 years old,
Uh-huh.
18 months actually. And it was very difficult. I was in Miami with my mother alone because then my father joined the Bay of Pigs initiative to go back to Cuba to try to free Cuba from Castro
Yeah.
and the revolution. He was in jail for 2 years there. So throughout all of this music, my grandmother started sending my mother's records one by one because they only let us leave Cuba with one suitcase.
Mm.
And my grandmother would pack a box of mango baby food because they didn't sell it in the States. And it's
Yeah.
the only thing I would eat. And she would pack a record in there. So I would listen to music from the greats,
Yeah.
Johnny Mathis, Andy Williams, Dean Martin, Sinatra, also the Cuban greats, Celia Cruz, Olga Guillot, Cachao, Trio Matamoros. And this music would speak to me. I would sing along with the records. It was my escape. And
Yeah.
when my father came back and joined the US Army, and then we went to Texas, where my
Uh-huh.
sister was born, where he was stationed,
Okay.
he got one of his troops to start teaching me guitar. And I started playing to accompany myself and sing. I would learn the songs from the radio and figure out the chords.
Mm.
And it was how I would get my emotion out.
Yeah.
My father came back very ill with multiple sclerosis from
Oh no.
Vietnam,
Okay.
and I had to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I would lock myself up in my room and just sing, and the tears would come. I wanted to be strong for my mother. So
Yeah.
music was my escape and my catharsis. And it continues to be to this day a
Yeah.
very healing thing for me. And I think it's sound waves and it affects frequencies and it affects moods. And sometimes you can be feeling very sad and you'll put
Yeah.
something on and it'll lift your mood. Or sometimes it'll throw you back to a sad moment and you cry and release things. So I think it's a very beautiful and important part of our world.
Well, I see pure passion in terms of whatever you just mentioned to me. There is purity of intent in terms of the whole idea of music, and you did talk about feelings and emotions and moods. So I'm interested in knowing what kind of feelings, emotions, or moods do you feel most comfortable communicating as a musician?
Love, um, unity, empowerment,
Okay.
positivity. Uh, I studied communications in college. It was one of my majors. I studied psychology and communications majors
Yeah.
and a French minor.
Uh-huh.
And I know the power that music had in my life.
Mm.
So I know the responsibility that I hold because other people's music got me through my most difficult times.
Right.
So I think about a lot
Mm.
the type of music and the things that I put out into the universe. I know that I'm lucky enough
Yeah.
that there will be people listening, and I want them either to use my music and my words, perhaps to say something to someone that they don't know how to say
Mm.
when it comes to do with love, or if they're going through a tough moment, to be able
Yeah.
to cry it out, or in songs like Get on Your Feet, for example,
Mm-hmm.
to make people feel like they can do something, no matter how hard the challenge. I speak to the connectivity
Mm-hmm.
that I feel among all living things. I take very seriously that
Okay.
gift that I've been given to be able to communicate with others. So it's important to me that it be something that inspires or simply entertains
Yeah.
and lets them have a good time and dance or, release whatever they may need to release.
Well, looks like you've surrendered to the bubble of music as a true artist, right? And you did mention that in terms of your personality, you're a little reserved compared to your mother, who was a little more social and comfortable, maybe say in front of the camera. So don't you think it's a little antithetical to the whole notion of being a pop star or a performer, right? How do you
Absolutely.
how did you make that happen?
Well, I have something in me that whatever I do, I want to do it the best I can to the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
When I joined the band at 17, it was for fun. It was an opportunity that came about. I wasn't looking for it.
Uh-huh.
A friend of mine that was in one of my brother's schools, because I went
Yeah.
to an all-girl high
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
Catholic high school.
Mm-hmm.
We used to play in the church, the folk masses.
Okay.
And there was a group of parents coming back from a spiritual encounter, and he wanted to put a band together to be a part of the celebration of them coming back. But it was just for that one day. So we were rehearsing. He called me and he says, "Hey, would you like to perhaps sing in this
Yeah.
night with
Yeah.
us in the band?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Sure, that'd be fun." So I went, and then he said, "My father works with a young man in Bacardi Imports that has a band, and he's going to come by and give us some tips on how to
Okay.
do this."
Okay.
And it was Emilio Estefan.
Yeah.
So he came with his accordion. He gave us the tips. He heard me sing. He left. We did our show. Everybody went their separate ways. We were all in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then that summer, I went to a wedding of the daughter of one of my dad's army buddies
Okay.
with my mom, because my father was too ill to go.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked in, I see these boys in tuxes and a man playing Do the Hustle on the accordion. And I go, wait, he's very brave.
Yeah.
It was magical because
Yeah.
it was a beautiful twinkle lights and the party and the wedding.
Yeah.
And then as I got closer, I realized it was the same young man that had come to give us the pointers.
Mm-hmm.
He ran into me. He goes, "Oh, I remember you." And he said, "Why don't you sit in with the band and sing a couple of songs? I don't really have a lead singer in the band." So I said, "Well, what do you know?" And he said, "I know Cuban music." I go, "I know Cuban classics."
Mm-hmm.
So I sang a couple of Cuban classics.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody there knew me. So they gave me a huge ovation. And he
Lovely.
got impressed. And he said, I'd love for you to join the band if
Yeah.
you could." I go, "I can't. My mother will kill me. And I'm right now, I have 2 jobs and I'm starting school in September. I'm starting as a sophomore. So I need to, brush up on all these preparations."
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he tracked me down and invited me again. So even the way that I got into the band was not me looking for it. And I remember my grandmother saying to me, "You remember that all your life I've been telling you that you have a gift and it's your responsibility to share it with the world. And
Yeah.
one day it will fall in your lap, no matter how much you try to avoid it." And she goes, "I hope you realize this is it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what your mother has to say. You're going to be 18 years old. Choose what will make you happy." And I did. I didn't quit school, but I joined the band for fun. So as I joined the band, I realized I had to, get over my nature of being shy a little bit. Not one to one, I'm not shy, but I don't like being the center of attention. It's
Yeah.
not my nature.
Yeah.
But music is definitely my happy place. So I did things. I took a dance class to take me out of my comfort zone. I took public speaking at the university to allow me to be more comfortable in front of people and to be able to say things. I took a makeup course that taught me not only beauty makeup, but I'm a great, during Halloween is my favorite time. I can do bruises, I can do aging.
Oh wow.
Just I tried to sharpen my skills, and then eventually when I could afford it, I started taking voice lessons.
Okay.
Because I knew as things got bigger and more busy
Yeah.
that I was going to need the best technique in order to be there for the long haul, if that's what we were going to end up doing.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. Emilio and I fell in love. We got married. We had to make the decision to each stop doing our jobs because the music was taking a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And we both thought, look, we discussed it and we said we have other careers. If it doesn't work, then we have a backup. But it would be so beautiful to live our lives doing what we both love so much. And that's how we ended up doing it. And it took me a good 10 years because I started in the band at 17. By the time Dr. Beat became a worldwide hit, I had had a lot of experience on that stage. And each time Emilio would also push me out a little further, more out front, more out front.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it the best way possible. So it was a process, not a short one. But I looked for ways to be better at what I was doing.
It's beautiful the way two of you worked together as a team and you figured all of this out and you checked all the right boxes in terms of this entire idea of your musical pursuit. So kudos to you and your husband for making it
Thank you.
happen. Yeah, good for you.
I think it was destiny because
Yeah, yeah,
since I took care of my father so much,
yeah.
I really just wanted to live life. Once he went to the hospital and I had more time for myself, I was very much looking forward to, studying and working and doing things. When I graduated, I had decided to change from psychology. I got accepted to the clinical psychology school,
Okay.
but I knew that it was difficult for me to divorce myself from the situations that I was dealing with socially with a lot of families that were stuck in situations, and it really affected me emotionally.
Yeah.
So I had been accepted to the Sorbonne in Paris, and I was going to study international law and diplomacy. But by that time, the band was doing very well. I had fallen in love,
Yeah.
and I made a different decision. But marriage was never on my plan, and I got married the day after I turned 21 years old.
Wow.
But I knew that day that I wanted to be with Emilio the rest of my life. And here we are. We've been married 45 years, together
Incredible.
47. And he was my boss for a year before we
Okay.
started dating. But I think it was destiny, having met him and
Yeah.
how everything happened.
So how does it work? Of course, there's a personal space and all of that. At the same time, there's also a professional ethic, right? So how do the two of you balance between the two? Like how do you not let the professional aspect interfere into your private matters in this working relationship that you have with your partner?
Yeah. Well, that's a process that takes time and going through experiences to learn. What helps is that him and I are on the same page when it comes to priorities. For both of us, our family is our number one priority. We have the same values and morals. We rarely have differences when it comes to business or music.
Okay.
We're very different personality wise, so we balance well. He's electric, he's constantly on the move. He likes to look at big picture, very creative, and has to be doing 20 things. He has ADD. So he's doing 20 different things. I like to focus on one thing at a time, although I can do many, but I can go in depth. So we kind of balance each other. He doesn't like, for example, reading contracts or doing the financial or insurances or the things that need to get done. I love that part. And he has other strengths that I need from him. Now, were there moments where it was tough because I wanted to come home and complain to my husband about what my manager was trying to make me do? Yes, because he was both my manager and my husband.
Yeah.
But there's deep respect.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing is we don't allow egos to get in the way at all.
Okay.
He's the type of person that is just very positive and motivational.
Yeah.
And he knew that where there was, for example, they would offer me a commercial to promote something that I don't like the product and I don't like doing that kind of thing unless I believe in it. He was looking at it as a business opportunity. But he knew that if it was my face that had to be selling this product, he would accept my decision, even though monetarily it may not have been the best thing, but he understood that. And I also understand when he's working with other artists, it makes me very happy to support and help in any way I can.
Yeah.
But I know that that's his call. So through the years, we really found that really good balance. And it's all about respect. When you respect and love the person you're with, if you're each taking care of the other, then both are taken care of. And that's what a couple is. You can't be thinking me first. There's times when one is going to need to be, focused on, and other times when the other partner needs to be focused on.
Yeah.
And it's being aware of that balance that I think helps relationship.
Well, that's wonderful. The way you guys juggle and support each other, making this entire pursuit a very smooth one by this
Well, that's why it's
process.
worked.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel blessed because for a woman in this industry, it's never easy.
For sure.
And having him from day one has been a blessing. And I think either one separately would have been successful at whatever we do because we're very, driven people and we like to do things well. But I think the combination of the two of us created just a unique opportunity to take our lives to a whole other level.
Based on what you just said, as an entertainer, do you believe your journey has been marked by greater ease or increased challenges due to your gender?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't feel it as much as a woman that's out there on her own without a support system.
Okay.
Because even managers and agents, they only make money when you're working. So, yes, they want to watch out for you and they want the best for you. But ultimately, what's best for them is for you to be out there working and doing as much as you possibly can, when that may not be the best thing for the human being involved.
Yeah.
Emilio being my manager, we are both in the same boat. We're working together as a team. And yes, in any business, not just entertainment, being a woman is a more challenging thing. It's changing. It's getting better.
Yeah.
Women are becoming stronger in the workforce. Right now in the United States, at least, more women are graduating as doctors and lawyers than men.
Yeah.
So before that was unheard of. When I was a kid, there were very few women doctors or lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a time where there was actually pressure on women to succeed. I graduated high school in 1975. The ERA had just passed in 1972, the Equal Rights Amendment here. And there was it was the sexual revolution.
Yeah.
So there was pressure on women to go out into the workforce and be successful. And I know that my closest friends from high school that I'm still very close with, there's 12 of us that meet once a month still. And during COVID, we would Zoom once a week. And in that group of 12, there's 2 lawyers, 2 engineers, an architect, a doctor, an infectious disease specialist. So it was a very successful group of women. And I think being a part of that time also was influential in just making me feel that the sky was the limit. That and that my mother and my grandmother were really the ones that ran the family, because my grandfather, when he came from Cuba, had already had 5 heart attacks. My grandmother was an amazing businesswoman. She opened her own business, was able to buy her own house when she got here at 57 without speaking the language.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my dad got ill, my mother went back to school. She had a PhD in education in Cuba. But when we left Cuba, they ripped up her credentials, so she had no proof.
Yeah.
And she had to go back to the university to get her teaching credentials. And she became the union representative in her school, taught for 30 years, very beloved teacher.
Okay.
So I had an example of 2 amazing women that showed me that there was nothing that we couldn't do, and they pretty much did it all.
Sure. You did mention that you like the whole idea of working on a finance related balance sheet and things that really demand a little bit of your intellect to be put to work, right? So how does something like academia sit with someone like you?
I love it. I think it's incredibly important. And I think that nowadays,
Yeah.
uh, when I graduated, a bachelor's degree was a big deal. Now
Yeah.
you need to get out there and get masters. I've even thought about getting a master's and a PhD. If I had the time
Really?
to be able to do it, I would,
Yeah.
because I think every day I try to learn something. I continue to read. I always try to go deeper into things. We invest a lot in real estate, and it
Yeah.
fascinates me. So I try to learn as much as I can about it.
Hmm.
I think that it is crucial that we try to be the best educated people that we can be, and it's important. It's not for everyone, and not everyone
Yeah.
needs to do it,
Yeah.
because we need people in all walks of life.
Correct.
But I enjoy academia very much.
Okay.
One of the trustees of the University of Miami. I try to get involved as much as I can. And I'm on the board of trustees at Berklee College of Music, where my daughter studied in Boston.
Hmm.
I'm trying to devote more this part of my life to philanthropy and to speaking to young people,
Yeah.
and trying to share the things I've learned through life. And so I think it's a very important part. If we can, if you can have an education, you should utilize that ability as best you can.
Well, you've dabbled in so many different professions, and from what I've gathered, you're also a writer, and you've authored several children's books that have achieved recognition on platforms like New York Times as a bestseller. So, I wanted to understand, do you perceive a trend where children in today's generation are maturing at an accelerated pace, which leads to a diminished interest in literature centered around childhood themes? So, could you throw some light on that?
Well, this is what I believe. I believe that we are maximizing the intellect of our children by even knowing what goes on prenatally, and trying to play music to babies still while they're in utero. I would speak to my daughter. We know that children are capable of a lot of absorption, and are probably speaking earlier and can do many more things. However, I think what is happening with this, with the advent of social media, which I look at very carefully because it can be a very big danger as well. I
Hmm.
think we've created a catch-22. I think we're creating children that have a harder time focusing because they have so many things at their fingertips where they can just instantly switch
Yeah.
on an iPad. By the way, I'm sorry about that sound. My neighbor is building his house. So
I
if
can't
people
hear
are listening,
anything. I cannot
okay,
hear
great.
anything. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I think that it's harder to teach them to sit and focus.
Uh-huh.
I know that with my grandson, I talk to him a lot about meditation, relaxation. They don't want to let go. They want to be using their brains to the very last second. They fall asleep. And what that does, it goes against
Yeah.
sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
They're more anxious. This generation has a lot of anxiety
Right.
happening
Right.
because they are bombarded by so much information
Mm.
that they can't handle. There's a lot of things that I think they're feeling overwhelmed
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we have to find a way around that, because with any new technology and new abilities come new challenges.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be facing in the next decade a real difficult situation with our children. I know that when I was little, we had to drills to get under our desk in case of a nuclear attack, but we had no idea what a nuclear attack is. To us, it was just,
Yeah.
oh, you got to do this because the teacher's telling you. Nowadays, children are very clear on what a school shooting is. They don't feel safe anywhere. They don't feel safe in school. They don't feel safe in church, in a mall, in a theater. And these things are going to affect our young people. We're seeing it happen already. Things like COVID, the pandemic, was something that they are living through that well, none of us had lived through as children.
Yeah.
So I believe that we have a lot of adapting to do and learning to do with these new technologies and abilities. And with everything that is wonderful comes downsides. And I think we're beginning to see those, and we're going to have to deal with them with our children. And I think the more parents can, the longer they can keep a child away from social media and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I think it'll just be healthier for our kids. But it's hard because they're so connected, and disconnecting them is a problem.
Yeah. I feel, making them understand the importance of these things. Uh, I feel a lot of kids, they learn from their own experiences. Things can be taught to them, but the beauty lies in them trying to realize the importance and understand and comprehend as to what is being told, which comes into effect at a later point. Right?
Absolutely. No, an example as well.
Yeah.
Because you can talk to your children all you want and tell them this is how you should be.
Yeah.
But what they see you do is what they're going to learn the quickest.
Right. Since we are in the topic of children's books, I'm interested in knowing what are the essential qualities or criteria that you as a writer would have and would like to see in a well-crafted children's book.
Well, I can tell you what my criteria was for my book. I grew up with my mother as a teacher, so I was in her classroom a lot. And I was an avid reader. I love Dr. Seuss was a big influence for me.
Mm-hmm.
And since I am a songwriter,
Yeah.
it was very natural for me to write my children's book with rhyming. I believe that sticks more solidly in their little brains
Yeah.
when something rhymes because it's lyrical and melodic and musical. It was very important for me for the book to have a moral or a lesson,
Yeah.
and for it to be legitimately educational in its facts. So, for example, the first children's book, Noel's The Magically Mysterious Adventures of Noel the Bulldog, it came from a real place. I ended up with a bulldog that I never imagined I'd have when I had 5 Dalmatians already. And observing how the dog tried to integrate into this group, the pack, really inspired me to create this story. At the base of it, the moral of the story is the uniqueness that we all hold
Yeah.
is what is important. What makes us different makes us special and important. So that was the message that through the story I set out to tell.
Yeah.
And I don't speak down to kids,
Mhm.
even though it's a children's book. I try to elevate their vocabulary so that they ask the question, what does this word mean? Rather than using words that might be easily understood.
Yeah.
I kept that with the second book as well, Noel's Treasure Tale.
Mhm.
It was about the environment and the fact that the greatest gift, the greatest treasure is friendship and love and the things we share on this planet. It talks about Vero Beach, which is a place we own a home, and it talks about the environment and the sea turtles and their natural enemies. It
Yeah.
talks about these ships that in the 1700s fell into a hurricane, and that's why it's called the Treasure Coast,
Yeah.
because they all went down and treasure was found. So these are all real facts about the area. So those things are important to me, that it teach something, that it leave a child with something that is not heavy-handed, and they may not even realize they're learning it,
Yeah.
but that leaves them inspired and happy and that it's cute, and that they somehow feel connected to it. And all my favorite children's books did that for me.
It's beautiful. You've tried to plant that thought through the lovely book you've written. Very, very unique way to sort of craft a children's book. I've never read something like that. Yeah.
Thank you. I've written a third one that hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
It's called Noel and Lulu, and it's about the relationship between Noel, my bulldog, and a Chihuahua that came into her life.
Okay.
So that one is about sibling rivalry.
Uh-huh.
And Noel, who's this really beautiful and very, stoic and, humble animal, all of a sudden starts feeling they bring this little Chihuahua in and she's a puppy and all this attention is going to her. So I'm excited. I'm looking for ways to publish that soon. But yes, they all come from a very real place because just like in the songs, the reader may not know what your inspiration was, but they can feel if it's honest and it's true. And if it's something that you've actually felt and experienced. So I don't believe that you can write what you don't know about. And everything I've written, from songs to the children's books, comes from very real places, emotionally and in my experience.
Incredible. And when is this book likely to be out? When can kids in India place an order for it? Yeah.
Well, you know what? Nowadays, it's so much easier to be able to even self-publish.
Yeah.
All I need to do is get it illustrated.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to the original illustrator of the Noel books, who's a wonderful illustrator,
Okay.
and hopefully get him on board to do the third book. That's the only thing I'm waiting for.
Can't wait. Can't wait for it.
Thank you.
Of the many hats that you wear, one of them would be leading the Gloria Estefan Foundation, which promotes education, health, and cultural development. So I would like to understand, how taxing has this effort been for you, and what promise does it have under your leadership?
Well, for me, the foundation was a way to maximize my ability to help others.
Yeah.
My prime objective at the beginning too was to be a part of the cure for paralysis, because in 1990 I had a very serious bus crash that left me paralyzed momentarily.
Yeah.
And I came out on the very lucky side of that. The doctor didn't think that was going to be the case. So he felt it was pretty miraculous. I felt people's prayers. They were a part of my recuperation. But I wanted to be a part of that cure. So that is also one of the prime objectives. And also seeing everything my mother went through as a teacher, taking money out of her own pocket to be able to make her classroom beautiful because she was a public school teacher, or to have art supplies for the kids. It was important for me to be supportive. So I help an organization that they have a giant warehouse, and we buy things where teachers can go and get things for their classrooms and not have to be out of pocket.
Okay.
So things that slip through the cracks. My foundation is not huge. It's small, and I fund it myself through 3 of my songs go directly into the foundation. I have beautiful philanthropic friends that every time there's an opportunity for a gift, rather than buying me something, they'll give me money to put to my foundation. And I like to be able to just cut a check on the spot. It's not the kind of thing where the majority of foundations, they try to keep making money, and create a big, endowment, and then only release an interest rate that they make yearly as charity. I don't think about that. If there's a need, I want to be a part of it. There's organizations we help every year during Thanksgiving, and organizations that are close to my heart that I know do good work with helping people that need help. So it's just been a wonderful thing. There's no one in my office can take a salary from the foundation. Everything that comes in is used purely for passing it on to people in need. My board are friends that volunteered. They know they make nothing from it. And that's the way I like it. I like to keep it small and impactful, that it can make a difference.
Yeah.
So as I've gotten older and not been on tour for 2 years in a row like I used to be, I take a much more a bigger role in philanthropy, and my foundation allows me to maximize, the dollars and be able to help people along the way.
Incredible, incredible. I have, I mean, a lot of people should get inspired by whatever you just said, and yeah, you're making a huge difference in so many countless lives. So that's a great way to support them, and you're
Thank
doing your
you.
best. Yeah,
To me, it's a blessing and a
yeah,
privilege
yeah,
to be able to be of service to
yeah,
others.
yeah, yeah,
And, you know, people can do in their own lives just helping one other person, just making life better in your own family or in your school or your city,
uh-huh,
uh, just volunteering
yeah,
in events every year when we would have Feed a Friend, which is my favorite event that we had until
okay,
COVID, and next
okay,
year we will do it again, where we would feed all of 6 to 7 different organizations and entertain them and have things for the kids and make the day beautiful for Thanksgiving.
mm-hmm,
Um, we would have volunteers that would come from all over the city to serve the food, to be entertainment. So there's something we can all do in our lives to make life better for somebody else. And
yeah,
to me, that makes me happy. I feel really blessed
okay,
to do as much as I can. You can't do it all.
yeah,
Sometimes it's frustrating that there's not more I can do, but I realized through time that just focusing on what you can do is enough, and
mm,
putting some good vibes out into the universe, and you know putting positivity and good works, because we certainly need that balance in life. There's so many challenges and difficulties and things that we're going through, and hatred and wars, and
yeah.
so if we focus on the good, that can only help.
Well, Gloria, thank you for making that difference. Really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to
Privilege.
touch upon Gloria, the performer. So you have
Okay.
graced the stage at monumental events such as the Super Bowl halftime show with the one and only Stevie Wonder. You've performed at the Nobel Peace Prize concert, and then you've been part of the VH1 Divas Live, and very, uh, you know, uh, amazing, iconic gatherings, shall we say. So, did you experience moments of apprehension during these live performances, specifically when you had this whole idea of performing at such huge stages? There could be this whole potential for mishaps to happen, right?
Oh,
And you might forget dance moves. How do you manage the multitasking of attention required for various creative elements such as dance and music that you incorporate in your performances, and ensuring a seamless and memorable performances? So I wanted to know, as to, there must be something beyond information, knowledge, or technique. How do you carry the information as to this is going to be my next move, and then that follows another, and so on and so forth?
I wish that I could tell you that I looked for these situations. That was not the case. Those are the last things
Yeah,
that I would ever want to do, because
yeah,
it's just not my nature. But
yeah,
being a partner with Emilio, when you have success musically, or you're at the top of the charts,
hmm,
these kinds of things come to you. These
yeah,
offers are
yeah,
presented. Now,
yeah,
there's always the ability to say no
hmm,
and to chicken out, as I call it.
yeah,
Because, yes, they are very, very tough on your nerves for me. I
yeah,
think for anybody,
yeah,
because these are Super Bowl, Oscars, Grammys. Um, these are like Olympics. I've
yeah,
performed in 2 Olympics. These live events that are going to be seen by billions of people,
yeah,
of course, your mind goes to, oh my God, what if I mess up? Like, everybody will see it.
yeah,
But thankfully, having someone like Emilio by my side that is such a motivator
mm,
and believes in me, and whenever I was having doubts, would say, "You've got this. You can do this." You prepare as much as you possibly can.
yeah,
And then before I went on any of these stages, or did anything, I would open my chakras right before the show, pray to my grandmother to help me through this. She's in her other reality.
Yeah.
And just open myself and say, say a prayer of, I want this to be for good. I want this to communicate to people how I feel about music, how I feel about these opportunities,
Yeah.
to be in front of them and entertain them. And please help me do that. To, God, to my people that are already there protecting me, and to exchange energy. Because even when I would do a live performance, I was blessed to have big crowds.
Yeah.
And what I would want is not just that people sit there and listen to my music. They can do that with their music at home, with a record or a CD or cassette, or if you go back, vinyl, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When you're in person with somebody, there is such an incredible exchange of energy that can happen. And I wanted to take them on an emotional journey. So whether it be one of these gigantic opportunities that, yes, did I get nervous? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of them, my knees were knocking. Like, how they say
Yeah.
that people think, oh no, that's just an expression. Oh no, that happens.
Yeah.
That you're so scared that your knees
Yeah.
are hitting each other.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I was back on stage at the American Music Awards
Okay.
after my accident, that Emilio and Dick Clark talked me into doing that performance. And my legs were shaking under my dress, and I thought people are going to think I'm still paralyzed because it was hard for me to move. And then when I stepped out on that stage and everybody in the audience stood up and were crying because it was just such energy, palpable. And I use that energy, I channel it inward and try to have it calm me. And you have to kind of do an auto hypnosis or believe in something bigger than you to help you through those moments, because it was tough for me. I'm not the kind of person that feels 100%. Now I am. Now I can do anything and feel okay. But if you don't feel that adrenaline, you're dead. I mean, it's a natural part of performing and probably one of the toughest parts. And when you do fail, or when something happens that wasn't to your, what you wanted to happen, that's where you learn more than if everything goes perfectly. And of course, there are going to be those moments, but they teach you that, you need to find the strength. You need to lose fear. And I realized after my accident, particularly, that there are, I believe, two main things that move the world: fear and love. And I realized that if you give energy to fear, then we're creative people. We're going to create situations that are going to make us be fearful. So I learned, especially after being a mother, that, you have kids and all of a sudden you worry all the time. And I realized that rather than giving energy to the fear, okay, what do I want to happen? Let me give energy to that. Let me give energy to how I want something to happen, what I want to achieve with this. Let me give energy to that. And it's not easy. You have to flip your thought process. And it took me a long time to learn that. And even now still, my kids have their own lives. I worry still. I have a grandson. So now I just purposely think, okay, this is what I want to happen. Let me give that kind of energy, good vibes. No, it's going to go great. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be good. And it can only help.
Right. You've been a trendsetter, and you've always been way ahead of your time in terms of your musical ideas, in terms of the whole performance aspect. So could you delve into the creative journey of kickstarting a trend from its inception in your earlier days in Miami, uh, in terms of outlining, conceptualization, executing, and strategizing, and still been able to evolve over time till this very day. I'm talking to you today after so many
Yes,
years, right?
exactly. And I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
blessed
yeah,
and very lucky.
yeah,
You know what? It was never a conscious decision of something like,
yeah.
oh, well, this is what's playing on the radio.
Mm,
Let's do something like that. Let's make a hit. Because if you're doing that, you're 2 years behind. When we were doing these recordings back in the day, I mean, nowadays, I can record a song today and release it tonight.
mhm,
That wasn't the case when we had to arrange, produce,
yeah,
go in, record,
yeah,
be in a recording studio because there was no other way to
yeah,
produce a quality
yeah.
thing. So what we did is stay true to what excited us
Mhm,
as musicians and who we were culturally.
yeah,
I came from Cuba when I was 2 years old to Miami. I grew up here for the first couple of years, but then I lived in South Carolina and in Texas when my father was in the army. I came back here when I was 10 and stayed here.
yeah,
Growing up in Miami gave us this opportunity to be in a melting pot of sounds. From there's Brazilians, there's Haitian community, sounds from Latin America, and a very big Cuban presence back in that day.
yeah.
Joining with Emilio, he had a band in Cuba when he was 8 years old. He went to Spain, lived there a year. So he started the band to supplement his income
Okay.
and started with his accordion. But because he loved music, and I got into it because I loved music, and
Mm,
I'm a huge consumer of music. I loved whenever we would travel, I would buy music of the place, find out who were the biggest artists, what, because I found years later that connecting all of that music in Latin America is Africa at the
mm,
core,
yeah,
which percussively and rhythmically we
yeah,
share a lot of similarities, but then depending on what country you lived in, it took on different
yeah,
because for example, Brazil had the Portuguese influence,
yeah,
Cuba had French, English, and Spanish influence mixed with the African rhythmic palette. So
mhm,
I like to learn. But it was experimenting with things that we loved. And when the record company tried to get us to get rid of the horns, get rid of the percussion, to try to blend in more to what was happening in top 40 radio, we told them, no, this is who we are. And if we fail with our sound, at least we failed with something that is ours, that is legitimate, that is
yeah,
who we are culturally, musically, emotionally. But if we succeed with something that you're trying to create just to compete, I'm going to have to do this the rest of my life if it's a success.
yeah,
I want to do what makes me happy, what I
mm,
believe in and care about. And that was always our only motivation. I when I was writing a project or whatever, I would not listen to the radio.
mm,
I would not listen to music because we're sponges.
yeah,
So I purposely tried to stay away from any trends or things like that. And when we were creating our sounds, we had the opportunity to use loops. At that time, they were using a lot of loops and conga, Dr. Beat, all those are loops created by a drummer. But rather than using the sounds that were available, we made our own sounds
mm,
and put them together so they sounded completely unique and separate.
yeah,
And that's why you listen to conga now and it still sounds like it's in its own, like in a vacuum.
yeah,
It
yeah,
could be played at any time and it steps out of time. And that's why it's still in the Chipmunk movie and this movie and that movie. And
yeah,
since we have our own publishing every day, I know exactly how many times conga is requested for use in a project or a movie or something of that nature. And I'm very careful what we say yes to. But it's still something that people resonate with. And uh, I was actually approving use of Rhythm is Gonna Get You for this man's stand-up routine, because his movie's coming out and he does a whole stand-up routine on Rhythm is Gonna Get You. And to still be,
Yeah.
this song came out in 1987, I think, something like this.
Yeah.
So many, to decades later, have people still understand a joke about a song that came out years before and know that kids can hear it in the Chipmunk movies, in Disney and whatnot. It's a blessing. So it was never a plan. We really just followed our heart, and we didn't. I mean, we were signed to a record company, so they were expecting an album to come after you did the promotion and tour or whatever. But we never went into the studio without an excitement about offering something, growing, doing something unique. That's why when we did albums, we did our first 3 albums that really cemented our fan base.
Yeah.
And then I started feeling a little more comfortable about experimenting. I did wait to the right moment, because Mi Tierra, we were working on for 5 years. And we waited until we were at the top of our pop career in English to release something like that. And they thought we were crazy. The record company, Tommy Mottola, fighting with me, saying, "You're crazy, you're taking this risk." And I go, this is exactly the moment that I want my fans to hear where our sound came from. Because I was only able to do conga, and Dr. Vida knows, because I knew Cuban music from way back. That's what we use in that fusion. Afro-Cuban spiritual music in Rhythm is going to get you. That's why people like Miles Davis loved conga. When some people thought, oh, it's his pop song, he was understanding the complicated musical synchronicity that was happening underneath this song that's talking about everybody, gather around now. Very simple lyrics written by our drummer, but the arrangement brought together all funk bass line, dance drums, and this Afro-Cuban spiritual music that is culturally really, really legit. And putting them together. We couldn't have put it together if it wasn't who we are. So, it's given us the opportunity then to do albums like Alma Caribeña, that focuses on the music of the Caribbean, all original music. Abriendo Puertas, a Christmas record that followed my first English language Christmas record that celebrated all these amazing Colombian rhythms, complicated rhythms, but, with beautiful Christmas theme. And to me, it's exciting. When we did Brazil 305, my latest album, and we won a Latin Grammy for that. It was exciting for me to take my songs and do them with these Brazilian rhythms. We went and recorded in Brazil because I recognize the synchronicity of Cuban rhythms and Brazilian rhythms. So it has to come from a very real place, I think. And I think that's given me the opportunity to evolve through the years. And my fans have given me that wide berth they might have liked some records more than others. They might have understood some more than others. Some may speak to them more than others, but they accept me in my totality, and doing dance music, doing ballads, doing English, doing Spanish, doing, all kinds of rhythms from all over Latin America. And that's been a true blessing as an artist.
Well, since you did mention movies, I have a little surprise for you.
Okay.
I'm sure you didn't see this coming, but just to give you some information, one of the biggest blockbuster movies in Bollywood, it's a very old one, it's called Tridev, has the hook from your song, and I'd like to play a little bit of it. I'm sure you haven't seen it, but I'd like to play a sneak peek of it for you.
You would be surprised what I've seen. Remember, I'm on top of all these things. Let me see it, though. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So there we go. It's a very old movie. I was probably not even born when this movie released.
I'm sure you weren't. What year were you born?
1994.
Oh, yeah, no, you definitely weren't born.
was a sneak peek from one of your all-time popular hits.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah, yeah,
those things make me so happy
yeah,
because,
yeah,
it's that hand extended
yeah,
across so many miles and
yeah,
cultures uniting
yeah.
in music. And I think it's beautiful. I love Bollywood, by the way. I've
Oh,
seen,
really? Really? So
yes, I
the
do.
lady who is dancing on that song is one of the finest dancers in Bollywood. She's called Madhuri Dixit, and she's huge.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
And it makes me,
yeah,
and I know that I have a lot of
yeah,
fans
yeah. Of
in India.
course.
I know I
When are you
do.
coming here? When do
I
I get to see
know,
you?
I know. It's always been our plan and our
Yeah,
desire.
yeah.
Um, but when you go on a world tour, as it was without going
Uh huh.
there, I
Uh
was
huh.
out sometimes 2 years in
Okay.
a row. And thankfully that my
Yeah,
family came with me because
yeah,
I would miss my mother, and my
yeah,
sister came with me, but my dogs, and I would talk to them on the phone before we had FaceTime. My dogs,
yeah,
I would.
yeah.
So yeah, I was very lucky that we had a very big career
Right,
worldwide.
right.
It was also a lot of hard work, hard work. But I love that. Thank you so much for showing me that.
You know what? I will send Heather another remix version. So there was another popular movie of the cricketer Azharuddin, who was the Indian cricket team captain. So they made a biopic on him. So that has a remix version, a modern version of this song. I would be sure to share it with you. Yeah,
Thank you. I would
yeah,
love to see that. That
yeah.
really makes me happy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. Especially, when it comes to your performances, there are some serious dance routines that I've seen in a lot of these evergreen videos. So, how do you choose or create dance routines that complement the themes of your songs?
Well, fortunately, we were with Epic. They always pick the best choreographers.
Mm,
And when
yeah,
I when I perform live,
yeah,
I move a lot and I dance a lot and I move.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm a singer and a
yeah,
writer. So
yeah,
to me
yeah,
it's more important to deliver the song.
yeah.
But after my accident, when we prepared that tour,
Uh huh.
I purposely created had them create complex choreography because I wanted people. There was a surprise at the beginning of the show. We all came out with fencing masks and did this very complicated routine. And then at the end, they picked me up. And when I pull off the mask, people weren't expecting it to be me
Mm,
because it was, but I did it on purpose so that people would really relax and
yeah,
see,
yeah.
okay, because they didn't know if I was coming out in a wheelchair or to sit and sing in a stool. So that challenge helped me a lot. So
Mm,
that tour, the 2 years we were on the road,
yeah.
it took me, I spent a year in getting to the stage. And then those 2 years, it made me feel much better. And I was at the peak of my recuperation after the tour. But for videos and things, you always get the top of the line. We worked a lot with Kenny Ortega. Kenny
Mm,
Ortega, who is an amazing director now, he's done things like that classic Newsies and Hocus Pocus. And
yeah, yeah,
um, he worked with us when we first started doing bigger tours.
yeah,
They combined us with him. His grandfather was Cuban, but he was one of the top choreographers in LA.
yeah.
So we've created a friendship and a bond through the years. We continue to work with Kenny in a million different projects. He directed a movie that I did, Change of Heart.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't come out. I did that way before.
Yeah.
It still hasn't found distribution, but um, so we continue to work together. And he choreographed him along with his right hand choreographer a lot of the stuff that you saw on tours and sometimes in videos. He did the Rhythm Is Gonna Get You video
Okay,
choreography.
okay.
He directed 1, 2, 3.
Mm.
Uh, he did a lot of things from that point in our career forward. So you know what, you use the best, and because I certainly am not a choreographer. Dancing is the last thing on my list of
I think
of
you're being
things that
very
I like
modest.
and want to do.
You're
I
being way
took
too
dance
modest.
lessons, like I told you,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
prepare
yeah,
and to make myself more comfortable,
yeah.
but it's not really high on my list of priorities. So
Mm.
I'll let other people do the dancing and the choreography, and I'll just focus on my music.
But you did well. You did well as a dancer too. Yeah.
Well, I move.
Uh,
I'm Cuban. I
yeah.
think a lot of it is actually cultural.
Right.
My mother was an amazing dancer.
Yeah.
Cuban culture, you dance in the kitchen with my dogs. I dance. We put on music. There's not ever a party where there isn't dancing involved in some degree. It's very relaxed, and dancing is a very big part of the Cuban culture. And I grew up watching my mother being an amazing dancer. She, so it's part of who we are, and I think it's kind of in my gene pool.
Your involvement in hotels and restaurants showcases a different side of your career, right? So, what drew you to the hospitality industry, and how do you approach the unique challenges and opportunities it presented?
I love real estate, and when you're an artist and you start making a lot of money, because we were worldwide,
Yeah.
I always told Emilio, I'm a woman in this business. He's also a businessman, and he had many different businesses
Yeah.
even before I met him. We both love a tangible,
Yeah.
something that is real, and maybe it comes from the loss of our homeland.
Mhm.
In Cuba, there people worked all their lives, and all of a sudden, boom, you're out, and you take nothing with you.
Yeah.
So we have both been very interested in real estate. And I remember when I was a child, I would love to come to the beach with my grandfather.
Okay.
And because my grandmother and my mother did not like the beach. So I would come with him, and I would stand on the sand and look towards Ocean Drive in awe of the beauty. Back then, they were old hotels already. There was a very elderly population that lived there at the time. And one day I even saw an elderly lady fall over dead from her rocking chair. But what a
Oh,
beautiful
no.
way to go, looking at that beauty.
Yeah.
And I always knew that there was going to be a resurgence of this area, because it was natural. It was the beach.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for a long time, it had been abandoned and not taken care of. So when Emilio and the money started coming in, I told him we should invest in something in Miami Beach, because it's a matter of time
Yeah.
before somebody's going to discover this area.
Right.
So we bought a little building there to start.
Mhm.
Then we bought the house that we live in.
Yeah.
Eventually, bought properties on the beach, and then came the new what do they call it? Oh my gosh, the district, the Art Deco design district.
Okay.
And they passed laws where people had to redo these hotels,
Yeah.
which brought a whole new life to South Beach. So Emilio and I have always loved that. And among the things that were for sale, we bought a building where we established a restaurant, Lario's on the Beach, because we used to love this Cuban couple that had a little tiny restaurant that made amazing Cuban food. And my grandmother, that was her dream, to a restaurant. But she was this little elderly lady, she couldn't get funding from a bank. She created her own restaurant in her house.
Wow.
Without a license, by the way. So she kind of went around the law. But I grew up in the kitchen with my grandmother, seeing her do this business.
Yeah.
And learning all about it, and seeing her, how she bought the food, sold the things, how the markup worked. And I was very clear. So when we got the opportunity to buy that little hotel that had a restaurant in it, that there was nobody in it,
Yeah.
I told Emilio, let's get the Larios to do a restaurant, because there's a very big connection in Cuban culture with music and food and entertainment. And I thought this is a great way to, kind of make my grandma's dream come true, even though she wasn't here anymore.
Yeah.
And to combine that and make a beautiful Cuban restaurant, because they had a lot of eateries, but no restaurant that rose to the level of coming for a beautiful dinner or a special event.
Yeah.
So we purposely made it very beautiful. It was there for 25 years, very successful. And then we bought the Cardozo Hotel. We now have the Costa d'Este Hotel in Vero Beach. We've expanded beyond Miami.
Okay.
But we're very hands-on. Emilio is great at decorating, and He's got amazing ideas for design. So it's another facet that we like to work on together, and it's been very successful. And thankfully, when the whole music industry was turned on its ear by the advent of streaming and entire, income streams ended because there was no longer a product being sold of a record or something, we had diversified, which we feel in business is very important.
Yeah.
To diversify and not leave all your eggs in one basket. So
Right.
that took a lot of pressure off of me because I didn't have to worry about constantly being touring. I was able to also enjoy my daughter's school career. It allows me to see my grandson growing up and focus on other things that I love to do that aren't having to be out there, because it's tough on the performer.
Yeah.
When I'm on the road, I can't go to restaurants. I have to stay in my room. I can only use my voice to sing because no interviews like this are out of the question. Going to places that are loud, you can ruin your vocal cords. And so it's hard work. And having other businesses has allowed us the freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it. And I love that. We love that whole idea of developing and creating the hotel we created in Vero Beach. We went there looking for a home. We first found a home there.
Okay.
But then I loved the place so much, it reminded me of Miami when I was a child, that I wanted to be a part of the business community. So we ended up buying that hotel. And I realized that there were very unique things there. There's a moratorium on building, so nobody could build anything else on the beach because they're very environmentally conscious. It's one of the top sea turtle habitats in the world.
Yeah.
So I knew that we were not going to get any competition if we made this a prime hotel that they didn't have there.
Mhm.
And in the summers, restaurants, businesses would close down because there was nothing to do in town. It was really a more of a snowbirds that came in the winter. And I thought, here's an opportunity to create a place that people can come from Miami, from Tampa. It's driving distance, and you don't have to take a plane and create. We knew what we looked for in hotels. So to create a hotel that pampered the guests, small boutique hotel, and it is in the top 10 boutique hotels, celebrity owned. So we know what to look for because we know what we wanted. We've traveled the world. We've been to the best hotels in the world. So you can take a small one like this and bring the best elements and create something unique and special, and people keep coming back. So that's a lot of what real estate is. You have to have vision, you have to have timing, and be able to hold through tough times, and that you don't lose the business. So we have very much an immigrant mentality, and we don't like to leverage ourselves.
Okay.
We like to buy things that we can afford and not put ourselves in a position where a tough moment can destroy your business.
Music is still running strong in your family. You put out a
Right.
Christmas album in 2022 with your grandson and daughter Emily. So I'd
Yes.
like to speak on the making of this fun song called the Chipmunk Song when I heard it.
Oh, yes.
This is such a fun song to listen to.
Well, this song
Yeah.
I listened to when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
I had the Alvin and the Chipmunks album. They
Mhm.
were a cartoon.
Yeah, I'm aware.
They're still
Yeah.
going strong.
Yeah.
But funny enough, that album also happened in a very organic way, the Christmas album. Every Thanksgiving, I host Thanksgiving at my house. And ever since Bebe, Sasha, my grandson, was little, he's loved music. He sings, he plays piano, he's amazing. But when he was a baby, I would sing songs to him and introduce him to music and whatnot. And then in Thanksgiving, we would put on a little show for the family.
Right.
So as he got older, one Thanksgiving, I think it was in 2019, I said, okay, how about this Thanksgiving we write a little chorus
Yeah.
and we sing the chorus, and then everybody can go around and say, he would take the microphone, they would say what they're thankful for.
Yeah.
So then I got the idea for the album. when right before I offered the idea to him and Emily, I had played for him the Chipmunk song because he loved the Chipmunk movie, the modern Chipmunk movie. And I told him, Bebe, when I was younger than you, I was a fan of Alvin. Let me show you this song. So I played it for him and he loved it. And Emily used to love it. So then we thought, okay, let's do the Chipmunk song. But since we're not chipmunks, how can we do in the middle when, the guy has a fight with the chipmunks and I go, let's use our pets. They can be the ones that fill in that section that's in the original song. And I go, and we could do this really cool 3-part harmony. Sometimes we couldn't even tell who was singing what part.
Exactly.
And then we did a little skit. We filmed, us doing the opening and that little middle section. We had a lot of fun. And those 2 months in the studio, that summer with my grandson, he would stay with me till 3 a.m. He was there more than Emily because Emily had her house and things to deal with, and he was off of school. So that's why they have associate producer credits, because he was really sitting at the board when my husband was doing his part of the duet that they did together. And it was just such a wonderful bonding experience. And then we had a great time promoting it. We were on the Macy's Day Parade float, and it was the reason I wanted to do it then was because he came to me and said, Tutu, I'm trying to hit these notes and something is happening with my voice. And I go, oh my gosh, here it comes. Puberty is going to be right around the corner. And I wanted to do something that was going to like freeze his little child voice before it changed. And that's why it was really important for us to do it before he got any older. And it turned out one of my favorite projects.
Yeah. I'd like to come to the last part of our agenda, which is a rapid fire with Gloria Estefan. Shall we get started?
Okay.
What's that one song that always makes you cry?
Oh, gosh. Smile. The song Smile. You mean in general, not one of my songs.
Yeah.
Right? Smile.
Yeah. On the contrary, do you have a favorite guilty pleasure song?
Guilty pleasure. ABBA, Dancing Queen.
Okay. If you had to put together an all-star pop band, who would be in it?
You're making things difficult. From pop stars from now?
No, any era.
All-star. Okay. Let's see. It would be Elton John, Stevie Wonder, Carole King, Fleetwood Mac on drums, Mick Fleetwood, Paul McCartney and John Lennon. And that's like heavy hitters. And then the horn section from Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wouldn't you be a part of it?
Are just as good.
Wouldn't you be a part of it?
Oh, of course. I'll be there playing the maracas.
Lovely. What's your favorite cuisine?
I love food, but if I had to have a last meal, it would be Cuban food. Chicken fricassee with rice and avocado salad and sweet plantains.
What's your favorite NFL team?
The Dolphins.
I knew that was coming.
And yeah, of course.
Yeah. If
I was there when they won.
Uh-huh.
I was there during the undefeated season, watching them on TV, and the night that they won the Super Bowl, which that record has never been repeated. I was on the roof of my mother's car listening to all the horns honking. Super Bowl 8.
Lovely. If you had to put together your consolidated experience of being on Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera, how would you describe it?
Very in-depth, very thorough, and really lovely, because I haven't had this opportunity before to speak to such a huge fan base that I haven't been able to see in person too.
Well, I'm glad. Pleasure's mine. One last question for you, Gloria. Down in the distant horizon, what would you like to be remembered as?
I wrote a song about it. It's called Remember Me with Love. And that's it. That when people remember me, they feel warmth and they feel a beautiful feeling and somebody who stayed true to her roots,
Yeah.
her culture.
Great answer for a closure. This interview will be additionally aired on Big FM Shillong and Aizawl, two incredible radio stations in the northeastern part of India. It'll be out on my YouTube channel, as you mentioned earlier, Aditya Veera 1994. It'll also be streaming at a later point on all audio platforms ranging from Apple Podcasts to Spotify. It's been
That's wonderful. My fans will love that.
Yeah. It's been such an incredible blessing, honor, and a privilege, Gloria. Thank you so much for giving me so much time and being a part of my show. It's been such an honor having you once again.
Well, thank you for reaching out, and thank you to all the fans that will be listening through beautiful India and elsewhere in the world. Just know that I love your country. I love the fact that I know that I've reached you musically, and I hope to, before my life is over, be able to visit in person and hopefully sing for you live.
Thank you so much, and please do stay in touch. Yeah.
Thank you. Will do. All the best.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.